what is going on in the world right now has never happened in the history of the world. I mean, I knew our leaders were screwed up, but not this screwed up. I mean, how can you shut down the whole world economy? And it's the reason that's really good news is because both the Fed and the Treasury, they're supposed to be separate, but they're now scratching each other's back, which proves they were never separate at all. And most people, that doesn't make any sense to them. But about 1999, I wrote this book. It's called Rich Dad's Prophecy. And it says why the biggest stock market crash in history is still coming and how you can prepare yourself and profit from it. And the crash market, the market I was talking about was the dot-com market in 2000 of the Y2K crash. And since then we had the 2008 crash. And if you, and I called it, I was on Wolf Blitzer's program in January of 2008. And I said Lehman Brothers was going to go down, and Wolf going, da, 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 da. So if you don't believe me, go to Rich Dad, and you can see me on CNN with Wolf Blitzer with one of the agents of Wall Street. I won't mention her name, but anyway. I said, this book here said 1999, so I was calling it way out. 2016 would be the crash date. What I did not foresee was quantitative easing and ZERP, nor did I see the shutting down the whole damn world economy. So the crash is bigger than I thought. So in March of 2020 was the biggest crash in world history of the stock market, but nobody knows anything about it because everybody's quarantined at home thinking about coronavirus and social distancing and wearing face masks. So people are missing out on one of the biggest catastrophic cash heists in the history of the world. They don't even know what's happening. Now, the good news is, it's the good news and the bad news about money. I'm going to make a fortune. This is the best time if you're ready for it. So I want you guys who are sitting at home, licking your wounds and wondering when you're going to go back to work and so you can get your lattes and cappuccinos and pizzas. Just know you might be missing one of the biggest opportunities in the history of the world because our governments have really screwed up. And I won't talk about conspiracy, but something's fishy about this corona crisis. There's something very fit. Why did they have to shut down the whole damn world? And I think it's because they're covering up something very, very big. And in September 2019, the shadow banking system collapsed. And that's why the Fed and the Treasury are printing tens of trillions of dollars all over the world. So when Corona appeared, I think it was an excuse to shut down the world economy to cover up what really happened. As the governments right now all over the world are printing literally trillions of dollars, and they're trying to pay off debt that's denominated in dollars. So that means the US dollar gets stronger because you need dollars to pay off the debt. And when you heard that they were printing trillions of dollars, as a Bitcoin person, what goes through your mind? Is that good or bad for you?
If you are heavy in Bitcoin, it is good for you because Bitcoin has been inversely correlated with the dollar in terms of the dollar compared to the other basket of currencies. So if the dollar crashes or goes bad, Bitcoin is going to go up historically. That's just how it's happened. Bitcoin has also been tied to other assets, but only in various times. To get just a brief summary, Bitcoin was pretty much tied to the S&P 500 for a little bit. And then as the oil crashed in March, I believe, everything got liquidated. So Bitcoin is considered a risky asset because it is volatile. And then it was not shielded away from all the capital being taken out of the markets. So I just want to make sure that people realize it's not really correlated with any asset. I'd say it's like a hedge or actually insurance to any other assets that you're holding.
Yes, and that's exactly the term I use. You see my last tweet. I talk about, I don't consider Bitcoin, gold, or silver investments. I consider them insurance policies against the idiots running the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street. And they're a bunch of criminals as far as I'm concerned because they're printing trillions of dollars at the same time causing billions of people to go unemployed. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? I mean, I can't, this is like heaven. But I know for people sitting at home, they're going, oh, I've lost my job. I can't pay my mortgage. And I understand, you can't pay the car payments and all this. But the name of this program is the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. So if you're sitting at home contemplating your navel saying, well, can I get my cocktailing job back? Or, what restaurant am I going to work for next? I think you missed the biggest opportunity in world history. That's my point of view. So as a crypto guy, what would you say to somebody who thinks this is a bad time? Why is it a good time for you guys?
Well, we actually analyze not every cryptocurrency, the major cryptocurrencies on a milestone basis. So in different month periods, we actually predict kind of what prices each coin is going to go. And over the long run, it gets harder and harder to analyze, obviously. Even with the coronavirus fears and we don't know when people are coming back, it's getting harder to project almost any asset. But if you do have a thesis that the dollar is going to decrease in value compared to other currencies, if you go by that thesis, Bitcoin will eventually, should go up in the long term. Cryptocurrencies as a whole, we can get into that. It's a whole ecosystem out there. Also, it starts benefiting from the decentralization of governments and their policies as well. Yeah, so I don't think Bitcoin itself as a currency. It's not something that I would go out and spend it. There's just too many problems with the volatility. There's actually very slow transaction speeds. For me, what I look at is the technology itself, how that can be applied to other use cases in the world. Which we'll go into, I'm sure, later. And that is where I look. So I don't actually have that much Bitcoin. I actually look at Ethereum. I look at the decentralized finance projects of where Ethereum's going. And there's a lot of startups that are trying to scale blockchain technology as well that I look into also. So as an investor in Bitcoin, I would just put that as a diversification piece. I wouldn't say that's like something to go all in, that I'm going to use it to spend as a global currency. That's not the case.
So you wouldn't invest in it because it's going to go to 100,000?
I do not think it's going to go to 100,000.
I understand that, but you wouldn't use that logic. Because that's what people do.
Logic.
Yeah, but see, people do that with silver and gold.
Mm-hmm.
People are, like they're calling for $50,000 gold and $20,000 silver, and that sucks a lot of people in.
Yep.
So what would you say to that? So somebody says Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Why would you say that's a bad idea, or you wouldn't touch it?
I can give a few data points as to what happens with the other countries that have currency crashes. They actually fled to Bitcoin as a safe haven because it's one way to get out, right? You could buy Bitcoin, it holds its currency against a USD. And then if their currency goes hyperinflation, they still have some digital asset that can be traded. Although again, it's just on a USB drive or it's on a piece of paper, but at least they can fled to that as a safe haven. With gold and silver, it's actually kind of hard to trade it for some people globally. With Bitcoin, it's 24/7. You can trade it whenever you want. So that's where I say is kind of the difference between gold and silver. In terms of what is backing Bitcoin, mainly it's kind of the trading volume and then the entrance. It's a fiat gateway into other cryptocurrencies.
So I'll let you take over from here because you guys are way over my head. I have some Ethereum. What is Ethereum?
So Ethereum takes blockchain technology and it added a concept called smart contracts. So basically, I could create a smart contract between you and me, Robert. It's just an auditable piece of code that we can send money to. And let's say you're paying me salary, $100 a week for whatever, just be on the phone to call you. So you can just put in $10,000 in this smart contract and it'll automatically pay me. There'll be no bank in between. There's nothing in between at all. Me and you could just operate on this small little piece of code that does any mainstream thing. So people took that concept and they built entire applications on it. So entire applications that can do almost anything. It's a little bit slow right now, so it's not shown any real value in the world yet, but the advancements of Ethereum 2.0, which are coming later this year, are trying to remedy that problem. These currencies are all supported by a network of people, a network of servers. So the worst a person can do is try to attack it with hardware, and then that's just going to be futile. It's not going to work. Like you can turn off a server, but the whole network of servers still exists with this ledger. So in a short summary, it's not really possible.
But isn't that because it's open source? I mean, it's not like in a centralized location.
Correct. It is completely distributed amongst thousands and thousands of servers.
Right. So you wipe one out, you have to go 10,000 guys to get it all wiped out.
And then you also have no idea who these guys are.
Right. The last question I have is this: Peter Schiff, he's a gold and silver guy, and somebody gave him some Bitcoin. He lost it. How does a person lose Bitcoin?
So the 64-digit key we talked about, with whether it's on a USB drive, whether it's on your phone or a piece of paper, if you lose that, then you cannot transfer that coin out, or those coins out. So that is one of the biggest things that's bugging crypto right now. How do we keep cryptocurrency keys and key management in a better format? And that's other, in all the technologies that we're exploring, that's definitely one area we're looking at as well.
So how does a person like me not lose my key, or is it whatever it is?
The typical way is having a backup and then putting it in your sock drawer on a piece of paper. You can also have copies elsewhere too, but that's dangerous.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate your insights and educating the group here, and we'll have you back on because, I am very confident that what you're on is the future. And to me, what crypto is like right now is like what AOL was back in the 90s. And they just kept improving it. So, you guys are onto it, but it's called developmental. It's not proven just at this point.